This conference will now be recorded.
A very warm welcome to one and all on behalf of Bhaskar Software Labs. Yeah, this is a basic introduction or an overview session on Python programming. So before we actually get into programming and do all that kind of stuff related with Python, what is this next generation programming? We'll try to understand. Now, most of you might have heard about cloud computing is the most sought after technology now, most catching up thing. So you need some language or some tool or technology which can get in or fit in to that particular kind of a very dynamic or robust environment. Python is one. Python is very, very robust, dynamic, and the entire programming model has been redefined. Okay. So it suits the next generation requirement of your hardware requirement or the application deployment. All right. Now we'll discuss about all of them going forward. So this is not a programming language that something sounds like C, C++, some olden day language you are trying to learn. No, this will not be outdated. I can assure for 5 years. Okay, it's evolving. It's open source, so anyone can get on. Now, do I need to have some prerequisites? If I want to get on with some programming language, do I need to know something? These all questions will come to your mind. Will I be capable enough? See, it's only hard work, little bit of how much? Maybe weekly 2 to 4 hours. If you can put daily 15-20 minutes, if you can write some Python code, you will be quite comfortable. Okay, I can assure that. Now I would take 40 plus hours, close to 50 hours. Every day we'll have a session 1 hour. All the code will be live. I try to type in the code, execute, navigate through with step-by-step process procedure, where the session like this will be recorded, which you can play back at any given point of time. If you feel like you missed some step, you're not able to get it, you can go ahead and rerun and execute the same. So don't worry. Someone having some knowledge about some programming language, good. Someone not having any programming language, I would say best. Because you know something, you have some confusion. That is something like that there. This is something like this here. You have some comparison. So someone who doesn't know anything is crystal clear. That's how I look at things. Okay. Ignorance is bliss. That's what you say sometimes, but not really. If you know something, it's good. You can compare and study. Otherwise, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Fine then. So let's go ahead. Now our entire objective will be to make you very, very strong in core concepts of programming. Now, doing this course of Python programming, you should be capable enough to write your own code, execute your own code, compile and execute, run, save, integrate, do everything, irrespective of the environment that you're executing in. You may have a tool, you might not have a tool, you might have only an IDE, or you might have only a terminal window. You never know, you might have to look at some code someone else has written. You should be very strong enough to understand, interpret whatever code someone else has written. So I want you to climb up to that ladder where whatever code written in Python, you should be comfortable enough to interpret, understand, self-evaluate. That's the intention. So we will not only just cover the core concepts or the fundamentals of programming in Python, we will also try to cover, or we will stress basically on object-oriented programming principles. Oops, no, it's not oops, like, no, oops, Python, no. Object-oriented programming principles, the basic foundation pillars. We evolved from procedure-oriented programming to structured-oriented programming approach to object-oriented programming approach. We are moving on to function-oriented programming. Now that's what is next generation basically. We'll also discuss about functional programming here. Now that's what is cloud-based technologies. In cloud environment, when you deploy any application, you want something to run in a distributed model, dynamic environment, robust. I don't know. Many applications are there which are running on Python. Instagram is one such. I don't know if you have used Instagram, if you have downloaded Instagram, if you have an app Instagram on your mobile, if you have been using it for more than 2-3 years, you can see what or how the performance was of Instagram 3 years back and how it is now. Now it is on Python. Earlier it was with PHP with backend as MySQL. Now it is running with Python. So you can see the performance. Okay. Now we'll also try to focus a little bit on matplotlib. We are not going to literally get into the details of matplotlib. because data science and all that graphing, charting, and all that you would do there. However, I'll try to give you a brief overview about things on Matplotlib. Pandas is a Python data analysis module. Yeah, trying to understand the basic core concepts of programming, object-oriented programming features, and function-oriented programming features. Where do you apply? How do you apply? That's what we will explore in Pandas. Okay. So Pandas is a very rich package. There are more than 2000 plus packages available because Python is open source. Now we cannot discuss all of them. It's highly impossible. Even in work environment, depending on the requirement, what kind of requirement it is, you need to go ahead, explore on your own what kind of module you need to learn, pick up. You will be able to pick up or understand provided you know something about Python. Oh, what is a class? What is an object? What is a module? How is the integration being done? What is a function? What is a method? How the calls are being made? You will be able to interpret provided you know something about Python, like coding, how the coding is being done, what is indentation, how do you define a function, how do you define a class, what is this, how do you call a method, what is a variable. This all basic things, if you know, you will be self-paced. Okay. So my job is to get you onto that particular plane where you will feel quite comfortable with yourself when you're given some assignment or code or some task related with Python. Okay. Now coming to the software and installation, we'll make it a point that each one of you have the required software installed on your machine. So by tomorrow, if you can keep one system ready, it might be i3, i5, i7, I don't mind, whether it is Windows, Mac or anything. Tomorrow we'll just purely concentrate on installation of Python. Okay. So we'll install basic Python. Then we'll also work with Anaconda distribution. Now, Anaconda is an open source distribution provided by Anaconda, which integrates Python into it. Now, the advantage with Anaconda distribution is you will get Jupyter Notebook. Now, that's what you work in a real-time environment. So, we'll make you aware of how exactly is the real-time environment going to be, how people will try to design something in Jupyter Notebook basically. Then how do you exchange? How multiple people will try to work on the same application, how multiple users log in and try to work on a simple task. Then apart from that, we'll also focus on what exactly is PyCharm, Atom kind of IDEs, IntelliJ. We'll also look at other IDEs. How do you integrate basically Python into that? And how do you write some script files? How do you build your modules? How do you run? Now, coming to backend, we'll try to focus on MySQL as well as MongoDB. If you know something about databases, basic simple select statement. So select statement is one you're talking about relational databases. Now all relational databases today are object relational because object oriented programming features have been integrated into them because trying to make them much more secure. Correct? So MySQL is one which we will focus. Now of course when we learn MySQL, when you learn SQL commands, you know SQL commands are classified if someone is having some knowledge about SQL. DDL, DML, DCL, TCL kind of commands, we'll look at that. What is create? What is alter? What is drop? What is select? Insert, update, delete. We'll work with MySQL. Now MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Now NoSQL databases are becoming very popular. We'll try to look at what are the different types, what is the basic reason behind that. Now we have been living for almost 2.5 decades with SQL. Prior to that, we were living with NoSQL. So it's something like the old technology is coming back. People have realized that NoSQL is better than SQL. There are some disadvantages with that we'll talk about. We'll discuss not only about MongoDB, we'll discuss about the 4 different categories of NoSQL databases. We have like graph databases, document store databases, uh, graph databases, network databases, column store databases. These are different types of. Only under NoSQL category, you have more than 230 plus tools. One among them is MongoDB. We are just trying to look at how do you integrate Python with a backend. One is a relational database, one is a non-relational database. Okay, so we'll look at that. Now, how do we go ahead on a daily basis? Where do we start? How the class progresses? What will be the flow of the class? Okay. Now, initially 5 minutes, we'll just try to discuss about what is the intention of the class. Then the next 5 minutes will focus on the concept. Say suppose I want to discuss about a function, a concept related function. What exactly is a function? Why do we need a function? We'll discuss about it. The core concept related to the function. What is the basic functionality related to the function? I'm just taking function as an example. If you're talking about a container object or an array, these are all terms which you don't know anything about today. Going down the line, you will know about all of these, everything. But how do we progress? How do we go about is what I'm trying to give you an overview all about. It might be a function, it might be an array, it might be a container object, it might be a class, it might be some concept related with functional programming like iterators, generators, all that. We'll just have an overview about what is it. So just making you have a brief overview about things, making you to understand the concept. Then we will try to analyze what exactly it is. Then we'll see a couple of examples of how exactly do you implement it. Where do you implement it? Where do you actually use it? Then we'll have a brief overview. If in case you have a Q&A or doubts kind of session, we will maybe offline or at the time when we are having class. Now the classes will be highly interactive, provided you come up with your questions immediately, or maybe if you feel uh, to ask like after the session, maybe offline, you want to put them off recording, that's fine. But I recommend you make a note of questions, and you can ask me after the session is done. You can as well ask me the questions if you don't feel comfortable asking when everyone is there. You can as well send me an email. So my email is there. We'll exchange. Now going forward, how about my support I've done through with the course or the program? Maybe going down the line, I have some questions. I'm watching some video. I'm getting some questions now. Or you can still keep in touch through email. Okay, that's one way. What about tomorrow? I'm in work environment. I'm facing some issues. If you can clearly explain what exactly is the issue, your requirement in your work environment, send an email. We can have a common, comfortable, convenient time, most probably somewhere during the week itself or at weekend, and we can have a same session like this, where we will try to share one another screen, see the problem, try to deal with the problem to build a solution. So support will be there. It's not only till the time you're doing the course. All right. Yeah. Now, there are evaluation parameters that we have set. We have created some question bank for each topic we will share. Not only for each topic, on a weekly basis, I'll give you some self-evaluation tasks, SETs. Not only self-evaluation tasks, these questions will be multiple choice based or MCQ. I have some questions which I have based, which are code based, CBT, code based tasks as well. So it will be narrative, descriptive, where you need to write some code. You will be able to write that particular code in a proper environment. You will be able to evaluate, test then and there, and you can submit to me as well. Now I can guarantee and I can bet that on a day one, when you have seen Python for the first day or whatever concept you have seen for the first day, the code that you write then and there, maybe after 1 week, your level of understanding, capability, maturity, the way you approach the problem is going to be changing drastically. I guarantee, guaranteed. But it needs time, sincere, dedicated, religious involvement. Okay. Now we have this SETs and all that question bank, all that we are providing it free as part of the course curriculum. Actually, this is available for 1 month duration from someone else outside. It costs $75 US. Maybe for a couple of months, they're charging $100 as well. I think I felt just taking that or having that, someone, there are a lot of blogs, but they don't give you the right path. How do you proceed? How do you learn? What to be learned after what? Everything is vague. So you need a direction. So my role here is to give you direction, navigation, a path for you to follow through so that you can focus on every concept. Later, how do you interrelate and interlink each one of them when you're actually implementing it? Okay. So let me show you before we go any further what kind of documents we provide. Question banks I will give you access to. Now videos like today's, we have other classes which were conducted. So on a daily basis, we'll try to load. We'll give you access to these kind of resources which you can play. We have assignments where we will keep the files. You can download, you can fill them, and you can submit them, upload them back, or send a reply in an email. Now that is one part of it with respect to videos. Now code-based assignment tests will give you some assignments over a week. Then we'll give you some self-evaluation tasks which you can take up. Now before that, we have some question bank. I want you to focus on this. Now you have learned something about some concept or some part related with Python. How do you gauge yourself? How do you judge yourself? You are good or you are okay or you are best, or how do you? So to get your own confidence, we have some self-evaluation tests. So these are all point-based. If you can focus, these are all point-based. Okay? There is no time limit for answering, and there is no limit for the number of attempts that each individual can take or give. Only requirement, you need to give your email. Yeah, we're not giving it for everyone. So you need to just give your email there and take up the questions. So 20 questions, each one will carry 1 mark. There is no negative marking. So you can take the test any number of times. Try to make it a point that you score full. So that's the reason why, or the intention behind giving you multiple times, multiple attempts, basically. So these scores will not be revealed to anyone. The leaderboard and all that, we don't have all that kind of. Now the intention behind creating all this multiple choice questions, self-evaluation tests. See, that's what I say always. You're learning some tool, some technology or something which is new. It will take minimum 2 months after the course is done for you to synchronize with or sync in with that particular new tool or technology. So what happens by that point of time after the course is over 2 months? I am not there, I am somewhere and you're somewhere. So we do not have any contact or touch. So what you can do, you can have the help of the videos, the recordings, you can do your own self-evaluation. So the advantage with that is going to be, these are all multiple choice based questions from the question bank for each topic related with OOPS, related with functions. We have, so more than 200 questions we have here. So it might be with tuple, set, dictionary, container objects. For each one, we have a separate set of questions. Now, as and when they are updated, you'll get the latest update. So you need not worry. So I also want to show you one which will start sharing immediately. After today's session, I will share that. So self-evaluation tests on a weekly basis, we will try to share. Okay, let me just show you one. Say suppose you need to answer one self-evaluation test after today's class. So on a weekly basis, which I am going to share is here. So for the first class, I've designed something, I've kept it. So I will share it, provided all of you give your Gmail ID. Okay, I'll collect it from yours, maybe during the session or the session is over. I'll put in there, maybe 5-10 minutes if you can take in. You will get to know like what you have understood from the class. Did you grasp everything? Or do you need to catch the video again? Or do you need to rewatch or listen back again? So all those things you can have some independence, freedom, liberty to do at your own will and wish. Okay? So a lot of things as part of support we have done. Now going through why Python. If you look at, there are a lot of features. It is the most easiest language to learn today. There are many languages. Among all of them, I would say Python is the best or the easiest. Not that because I'm trying to deal this session, this batch, this class, I'm in Python. No. I would say whether if I am in a separate class, if I am in a Hadoop training session or with something else also, I would say Python is the most happening or the easiest of or among all programming languages because it is very, very expressive and it is not compiler based. There is difference between compiler based languages and your interpreter based languages. Compiler based languages gives you some kind of executable. You again need to use that particular executable and run. Now this is dynamically interpreted, means you give your source code instructions to the Python interpreter on the fly, on the go. It will compile or it will run, it will convert into machine understandable form and it will run. That's the reason why it is platform independent. That's what is cross-platform language. So you need not worry, it's open source and free. Anywhere anyone can download. Now today I think Java is also licensed. Okay. So you don't have the fear. Python is going to be. It's not last year that Python was launched. It has a background of almost 20-23 years. It's not a language that has evolved in 1 decade, more than 2 decades. Now, why it did not really become popular? It has evolved. It just had object-oriented programming features, structured procedure-oriented programming features. Today, the requirement of cloud computing and distributed computing, cloud model, the features coming into the language making it to be very, very popular. Okay. Now that's what is extensible. So if you have some application which is being developed, designed, you can integrate Python into it and you can extend it. Okay. There is large library support. You have GUI application development as well. And a lot of things can be integrated into Python just like that. Any module, anything new technology you want to integrate as part of the existing application, if it is Python, you have some module or some package or some library. Just integrate it, start working. Not difficult, not difficult. Okay. Now there are many versions. 1994, or that's when all of Python research and things started. Okay. Then it evolved gradually. Now we are in 2019. You can count how many years? Almost 25 years. So you can imagine 2.5 decades is not a small span of time. The language has evolved. Of course, which version we will be focusing on? No, 2.7, 2x we are not going to focus. 3.x also we are not going to focus. Now the latest version, latest release is 3.7.2. We'll be focusing on that. We'll try to install. Major change you would see is from 2.7 and 3.0. So whether it is 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.5, 3.7, you will feel that most of the things are same with a little bit of new features. Okay. So we'll try to directly work with 3.5 or 3.7. Now, everyone will have a question like, by learning Python, what will I get? Okay, what will I get in the sense, yeah, if you compare a non-programmer, how his approach or thinking will be? Traditional, laborious, normal thinking, right? A programmer is more disciplined, organized, correct, creative you need to be. If it is Python programmer, of course, a normal programmer with some other programming language, your life is stressed. But with Python, I think you can relax. Guaranteed, when compared to Java, you will write 60% less code. If you compare to Java code that you write, you will write 60% less code. That's the reason why Hadoop kind of technologies, they have also integrated Python as part of it. Okay, right. So our goal, whether you are a programmer or non-programmer, you want to write or you want to look at less code. You don't want the application to be very heavy, lightweight component, simple, easy, performance intensive. So with that small, simple, less amount of code, you want to build big, great functionality. And that functionality should be able or capable to execute, run wherever you want. Okay, that's the reason there. Okay. So what we will try to look at, what do I cover as part of the course or curriculum? Let me just focus on that one. I'll get back. So what we will be covering, how do we go about? So what do we, I mean, this will be available to you or made available to you. You can download as well. And yeah, I'll give this link. So details are in here. So you need not worry. Yeah. If you could look in. So we'll not spend too much time every time discussing about some rock bottom basics, like what is procedure oriented programming, structured oriented programming, object oriented programming, function oriented programming. We'll slowly look at those things as well. I don't deny, but for those things to understand, or you need to understand, you first need to know the basics of Python coding. Then you will be able to appreciate what exactly is procedure oriented programming, what is structured oriented, what is object oriented, and what is function oriented. Okay. So why exactly Python is popular? Why it is the simple or it is very flexible language? You will get to know about it when you start using the code. Okay. Simple. Say suppose, okay, let me open. Let me, because this is the first class. Okay, what am I trying to do now? Here is, okay, I'm creating a new drive, new directory, new folder. Right. So first directory. Okay, right. Now say suppose I want to write some code I want to execute that is in Python. Okay, where do I write it? Okay, I will write it in a file. I'm opening a file. Okay, I need a notepad or wordpad or any text editor basically. Assuming that you don't have anything to work, you have been given a system, you have been asked to write some code, you need to execute. Okay, simple execution. You want to print a message like this message you need to generate display. That's it. Of course, we'll get into classes, modules, functions, methods, and all that. Say a simple one line of content you need to generate and you want to display. Okay, that's the program. Now, if it is a C file, I'm not sure if you are coming from background of C, C++. C, what do you write first? Hash include stdio.h, conio.h. Oh my goodness. Void, main, printf, nonsense. C++, hash include iostream, libraries. Okay. See out. Oh my god. Void main again. Oh, all that. Okay. Java. My goodness. Great. Class. Some class name. Public static void main. Say, oh my goodness. Nonsense. Python simplest. Write the code just like that. No container. Nothing. Simplest of things. Later we'll see the complex most part of it. If it is just a message that I want to display like hello world or welcome to something or some message, I need not use a main method, I need not use a class, I need not use anything. I just write small simple plain code, I'll save. A C program, you try to save. You give some name and you give an extension .c, C++ .cpp with some program file name, Java .java, or .NET or C Sharp or VB .cs .vb and all that kind of things, right? Okay. Now let us assume this is the line of code that we want to execute, which is written in Python. So simple print function. Okay, I'm saving it. So I'm saving it in first DAR in E drive. Okay, let me say 1.py is the file name. Intentionally trying to put it in double quotes. Why? For one good reason. I don't want it to be saved as 1.py.txt. Okay, this is my Python code that I want to execute. How do I run? Okay, I have written some source code instructions, high level language instructions. I want to execute this. I want to see an output. Okay. If Python is installed on your machine or you have a system that is installed with Python, just open the command prompt window. The command prompt, a terminal, a DOS prompt. Okay. Just navigate to that particular location where you have the file, where you have written the code. So it is in E drive, but I am by default in C drive, correct? Okay. Moving to E drive, move to that particular directory. Where do you have it? First dir, first drive folder. Ensure that you are in the right location. 1.5 is here. Now C language, you compile, then you execute. C++, you compile, then execute. Java, you compile, you get bytecode, then you execute. Java compiler, Java interpreter. Now this is interpreter based, no compilation. You compile, I mean, you just basically run it. How do you run it? I'm just trying to clear the screen. So Python interpreter, you're invoking. By invoking that interpreter, you're supplying your file name, which has got the Python code or the script. That's it. Means it's a very, very free form language. There's no restriction basically. I mean, there are, if you want to follow some neat organized approach of application development or solution building. But to get a small, simple hello world kind of or this kind of messages, the program is not really very rigid. It's very free form. At the same time, if you want to follow some or maintain some rigidity, you want to have some things very organized, you can as well make it. You can have a class, you can have a function, you can put a function inside a class and you can call that particular function using whatever you want. There are approaches. But basic simple thing, I don't think we need to be really bothered about if you are coming from Java background. Oh, I need to define my own class. I need to have a main method. Then I would say system.out.println. My goodness. If you are coming from that background, if you have seen all of that, you can overcome all the problems of that. Okay, right. Now we will try to install Python. That's where we will begin from tomorrow. Later we'll try to install Anaconda distribution and we'll try to configure Jupyter Notebook. You should be able to run Jupyter Notebook on your own on your machine. Okay. Now I've executed this particular program using a script file. Every Python script file will have an extension .py. You can have your script file in your own working directory, or it might be a script file written by someone that might be given to you. You should be good enough to know the command. How do you execute that particular script file? Python file name .py. That's it. Okay. Now, if you have installed Python, you get something known as idle. Okay. Now, Python idle stands for Integrated Development Learning Environment. Okay. IDE is different from idle. So in this Python shell, you can see we are working on 3.7.2, which is the latest. So if you have installed, if you have it, we'll install it anyhow tomorrow. Simple commands, one-line commands, some functions, some small snippet of code you want to test, run, you can do that job here. So same thing, how do you ensure that Python is successfully installed here? So you want to generate a message string. So use the print function, give that message string in double quotes or single quotes. Anything is fine. So some code you want to test, you need not open a script file, you need not write a program, you need not do all that nonsense. Just write test, this works, put it. Slowly execute each one statement like this, integrate all of them, put as part of a file. Yeah, then execute that. So you should get used to multiple things. Now this is one, this is one. Now we'll install Jupyter Notebook. I'll just give you a glance of it, glimpse of it. Now I'm in my first directory. I'm starting my Jupyter Notebook. We'll install Anaconda distribution. Once Anaconda distribution is installed, you will have a Jupyter Notebook. This is basically a client server application which is used in real-time work environment where running the Jupyter Notebook server, what will happen? Just look at this. I just hit enter from my keyboard. It is invoking the Jupyter Notebook server. This is an application which is designed to run with in a client server environment or an architecture, basically. So when it starts, it basically starts and displays the home page. Okay, let me close that. I'm not interested in the home page getting opened in Internet Explorer. That's the reason why I'm moving on to Chrome. Now this is an application, a client server application, which is running at the port number 8888. Okay. Now I have invoked my Jupyter Notebook when I am in my working directory. That's what is my first dir. So I get my 1.py file also, or whatever contents I have placed as part of this first.dir file or directory or folder. Okay, basically folder or directory you call it, but not a file. That's fine. So whatever you type in here, whatever you place in here is made available here, and whatever you create here and you save, it will be reflected here. Okay. Now how do you work with Jupyter Notebook? Basically, you click on this new button. If you have multiple versions of Python or Anaconda distribution installed, you will get multiple versions there. Because I have only version 3, I never installed Python 2 or 2.x. I don't have it. Just click on new button, Python 3. It will basically open a client server and basically a client interface. This is a notebook. Every notebook will have a title. Before you give any title, it will be untitled. So you can give a name. This is my first notebook file. Yeah, I'll talk about it in detail as we progress. Okay, otherwise you can give name. June 5th, 2019. I'm creating this. Save it. That is your title. Obviously, whatever you have given is saved, is being reflected here. Not only that, your file is saved and it is available here as well. Now the extension, if you focus, it is IPYNB. We have seen three characters extension, but not 4 or 5. IPYNB stands for Interactive PY Python NB Notebook File. Okay, So once you create all of that, you can type in here, you can execute all your commands. By default, you'll get a code set. So you can simply write a code of Python here to execute. If you want to run that, click on this run button. Earlier, in idle, in your script, you have written something, same thing you are executing. I mean, you will not write such simple code. What if in case you want to execute that code, what you have written in your 1.py, or you have written something in 1.py, that's a script file. If you want to run it here, run 1.py. I mean, I'm just trying to show it to you here. Shift enter to run. And whatever statement you have written there is getting executed. So you can integrate your script as part of the notebook also. This is in your real-time work environment that you will be working. So multiple things you will be looking at. Maybe in first class you are not able to catch the head and tail of it. I will be doing all of this again and again, multiple times. So you will get used to things. So to get synchronized, it will take time. Correct? Okay. So I request you to wait till then. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead. What we'll be covering, how we will progress, and all that. Okay. Right. So we'll work with the installation. We'll install Anaconda distribution. We'll start Jupyter Notebook. We'll try to write some script. We'll try to execute. We'll see what is markdown code and all that. We'll start from basic. Maybe you have seen what is the print function. Basically used for displaying some content. What is type? What is input? What are the predefined built-in functions? Okay. We'll discuss about that. You know what are the different formats or types of number system? What is binary? Not important, but just to know about, to get a real hang on of things. That's it. Then we'll go ahead. How do we declare a variable? How do you store some data? How do you declare one variable, multiple variable? What are the backslash constants? What is formatting? How do you format strings? What are basically data types? Python is a dynamically typed language. Now I'll tell you what is the difference between a statically typed language and a dynamically typed language. Okay, I'll try to open a new notebook here. Statically typed languages. Statically typed language, C, C++, even Java, even .NET programming languages. JavaScript is not statically typed. Python is not statically typed. So these are dynamically typed languages. Python, JavaScript. Okay. Simple. You might have experienced with C, C++, Java, if not .NET. If you want to store a value 10 as part of your program, 10 is a value, literal, some value, right? What do you have to do? You have to declare a variable. Declare a variable means you'll start with data type. This is how you do it. You declare it. You may not initialize in the same line. You may declare it and you may initialize it in the next line. One thing I want to tell you here is, if I store in 10, A, which is int type, 10.55, what will be stored? 10 or 10.55? 10. It will never store the decimal or fractional part of it. Good. That is one. The other part is, A is declared as 10 if I store in A any string value. String contents, you know, in C, C++, Java, .NET, whatever. If I store string value in A, what will happen? Error. Very good. Why? You have clearly declared a variable at compilation time. You are telling that this is integer type. Oh, you have committed. Now, you have committed, you can store only that value. Python is not like that. Python is dynamically typed. Means A you store 10, no problem, A contains 10. Type of A is int. Yeah, we'll talk about what is that class and all that going down the line. Now A is containing 10. A, if I store a value 10 or 10.55, it doesn't ignore that 0.55, it stores. Now the type of A, if you look in now, is changed to float. The same variable a can accommodate another type of value, that is string type as well. You have Boolean data types also, we will explore that. Contents of A is changing. I never associated any data type before A. So A is not fixed, A is dynamic. Dynamically typed languages, you need not assign any data type with the variable. So depending on what type of value you give or store in that particular variable, that particular type it will take its form as. It is considered to be of that type. So it's very flexible. Dynamically typed means that basically. Dynamically it will adapt to the type of value that you're storing. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that as we progress. What are the different data types? What are the available data types? What is dynamic typing, type casting, conversion? What are the functions you have? Then we'll go ahead with all operators. Basically, that's very important when you want to perform some calculations and all that. You need operators. Okay, we'll focus on that. Then we'll see what are the different object types. These are basic primitive types, or of course, I meant to say predefined types. Let me not say like primitive types. Predefined types. What are some advanced data types? Like what is the difference between a scalar object and a container object? We'll talk about it. Scalar object will store only one value. Container object will store more than one value. We'll talk about the advantages of that. What is mutability, immutability? What is ID function? How do you search for some help because you are new to the language? Some point of time, even I might get stuck. If I want to look into the documentation, how do you look in? Okay, we'll look at that. Then we'll focus on what are the control structures. If someone is coming from rock bottom, no programming background, that's fine. If you have something, you can compare as well. What is a simple if else, if, nested if, switch case? We don't have. We'll see the implementation of switch case kind of implementation without a switch case. Now we have only two loops here. We'll see what is a for loop and a while loop. Then we'll see some magic functions, range functions. These are all functions which we'll see. Then we'll get on with what exactly is a function in Python. How do you create your own user-defined or custom function? How do you invoke it? How do you integrate functions or link functions? What are higher order functions? What are lambda functions? What are anonymous functions? We'll focus about all of that. Okay. Then we'll talk about function arguments, something known as fixed or required arguments, default arguments, keyword, variable. We'll talk about that. Okay. Then we'll look at the detailed methods available as part of the container objects. These four are very important: a list, a tuple, a set, and a dictionary. They're very important, so we'll spend some time. For each one of them, we might spend one class. We'll see. Then we'll start object-oriented programming right from classes. How do you define a class? What does a class contain? What is class declaration? What is class definition? What all you can have as part of a class? What are the different types of members? What is the difference between a class type member and an instance member? What is a constructor? Okay. How do you relate? Inheritance? All of that will take some time. Okay. Then once we are done, we'll look at how do you handle exceptions separately, exception handling, how do you create your custom exception handlers and classes. Then we'll see file related concepts, how do you store some data or write into a file, read from a file and all that. Then we'll look at the functions that we have as part of string module. There are some important modules which we'll focus on. More than 2000 plus modules, we cannot focus on all of them. Some of them like math module, random module, numpy, array, matplotlib, symbols, datetime, these modules. Okay. Now slowly we'll get into functional programming from there on. What exactly is an iterator generator? We'll see what are the functions related with them. How do you customize and custom define your own generators, which will be acting as custom iterators. Then we'll see higher order functions. Most probably we'll see immediately after covering the container objects. We'll cover map, filter, reduce, some higher order functions. Then we'll talk about some function oriented programming concepts, closures, currying, function composition. Then we'll talk about decorators, memorizers, recursion. If you have idea about recursion, a function calling itself, what is all that we will talk about. Then we'll focus a little bit of plotting. How do you do plotting? What is matplotlib and all that. Then we'll get on with pandas. Maybe someone who's having interest to get on with data science, this might be very helpful. We'll build the foundation there. So later you can go ahead and build a lot of things on them with pandas. So we'll explore the statistical functions, analytical functions on time data and normal data as well. Then we'll look at relational database management system, MySQL as well as SQLite. We'll see. Then we'll discuss about what exactly is MongoDB NoSQL. We'll install. It will take some time. So maybe I'll give you instructions how do you install a day in advance. Then I'll try to rectify, check, verify, and we'll do that. We'll look at how do we process data from the web using OData service and pilot module. We'll look at that. Then we will get into web application development. If you already know something about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that's fine. Otherwise, a brief overview about that. Then we'll get into web application development using Django framework. Okay. Flask we are not dealing because mobile application development is a separate area of study altogether. You might get distracted, deviated. So you'll have confusion. So let's have some strong foundation, fundamentals related with web application development. It's only bootstrap. One API, if you can integrate, you can make your web application as how do you say, very dynamic one which can get adjusted to any kind of environment. It might be a desktop, it might be a palm top, it might be a laptop, it might be a smartphone also. Okay, we'll see. Then we'll see how do we configure a project, how do you create the basic application template, and how do you add applications as part of it. Then how do you use admin module as part of Django, what exactly is MVT. Basically, we'll focus more on MVT, model view template kind of architecture for application development using Django. So all of this will take some time. What are the different types of forms you can create? Basically, a web application. We'll not focus with one project. We'll go scenario based, where given a scenario, you should be able to do things in your own way. Now, which one is best? Maybe first time what you have done might be something. Maybe when you sit together in a team, couple of individuals, when you compare, you can as well do some things better. Okay. So we will see all of this. It will take 40 plus sessions. Ideally, I'll try to finish in 50 sessions. It will take some time. Unless until you're not strong with fundamentals, basic foundation things, or foundation or fundamental concepts, remaining things would appear to be really very tough. It needs some time on a daily basis. Okay. I think I'm pretty much done for the session. I'll just try to stop the recording. I'll take up questions if you have any. Okay. Yeah, let me stop here. Yeah. I hope I have stopped the recording. Go ahead. If in case you guys have questions, please let me know. Yeah, Satya, Sagar, Srinivas, Vaibhav. Yeah, anyone. I'll take up your questions also. Give me a minute. Yeah. Please go ahead, Satya. Your questions, queries?
Nothing, nothing from my side. Actually, everything is overview was fine, and looking forward to deep dive into more.
Okay, so keep one system ready. I would request everyone to keep one system ready by tomorrow. I will just go ahead
Yeah.
and install it. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Srinivas.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
Gautam.
Yeah, Srinivas.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
is it core Python and advanced Python both will cover in this course?
We are including even application development, web application development framework, Django. Of course, without advanced, we will not be able to touch base on Django.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we cover complete Python.
Don't have much.
Complete Python related with where one can not only become a web developer or web application developer. If in case you want to go ahead in future and learn something like data science also, this course should be quite handy. That's the intent.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Srinivas. Sorry. Yeah, Vaibhav, go ahead. Questions if you have any.
Yes, I have one question. Actually,
Okay.
when you are installing, you are saying something IDLE, Integrated
Yeah, I did.
Development
The learning
Environment,
environment, right? Yeah. Yeah.
which you are saying that we are using 3.7.2 version.
Correct.
Okay, means we are having a version in which you are saying something anaconda distribution. Anaconda distribution is just like an interface.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we are using a notepad for programming purpose. Am I correct?
Correct. Correct. Now, basically,
Okay,
if you want to write a script file, basically, where do you write your script file? If you have an ID, yeah, your doubt is quite genuine and valid. If it is a script file, where do we write? See, script file, I can write here multiple statements. I can execute. I can save it as part of the notebook. But if I want the code to be hidden, maybe some script file I have written, I want to execute it just like that here. I don't want anyone to see it. Or maybe I have written some script file which must be a reusable component. I want it to be included in some other script or some other environment or some other requirement. So I can put it as part of a script file in a .py file and I can use it. I can integrate it in another file, another module. So it depends. If you are using an IDE, the story is going to be a little bit different. So don't worry. I will show you with all environments. So which one to place when, where is important. Now in your work environment, if you are using only Jupyter Notebook and you are running, that's fine. If you are related with web application development, you will be using some IDE. Maybe even with web application development, you are working with some requirement. Maybe only you have to write your script file. You may have to do some unit testing. You just do that there and leave it. Maybe you will not or never use Jupyter Notebook. So situation will vary.
Okay. Thank you.
So trying to make you aware, most welcome Vaibhav, no problem. Trying to make you aware of things, have everything, learn everything, look at it, depending on the requirement or need or necessity. You should be able to adapt yourself to. That is the entire intention of all this. Okay? Yeah. Any other question? Anyone? Srinivas or Satya or Vaibhav? Okay, we are done pretty much for the day. I don't want to overshoot the time. Yeah, go ahead, Srinivas.
I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll catch up tomorrow, same time. If in case you have questions here, I'll take up offline. Yeah.
Thank you
Okay,
so
guys.
much.
Then we'll catch up tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. IST. I say IST every time because people from US, somewhere, some other location, trying to join in or log in, so that you can have a check on your local time. All right. Okay then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll catch up tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. IST. Thank you. That's it
Thank
for
you.
today's
Bye.
session. We'll continue tomorrow.